Hey guys, welcome back to the WODdoc Project 365, episode 420. First of all, the first thing I want to do is thank all you guys that submitted questions after reviewing today's post. I know that not everybody got to see it, but hopefully we'll be able to do this a bunch more times. So make sure that you are watching out for when I do ask, for questions and requests for questions. Tonight we can only answer one, but if this question isn't your question and we're not answering yours, that's absolutely okay, because there were so many great questions that what I'm going to do is I'm going to use them for ideas for the upcoming posts over the next several weeks. But I will do this a little bit more often just because I had such a great response to it. So super stoked about that. Thank you guys, and let's move on. So the question was asked by Cabrera79. They said, how often should we mobilize an area as to not neglect it or to bruise it? So what I got from that, and I'm going to answer it as such, is how much is enough and how much is not enough, or how much is too much and how much is not enough. So I wrote out 5 little rules here for you guys to work with. The first thing is consistency. Now, there's a saying out there that says, a lot of a littles is better than a little of a lot, okay? And I wrote right next to here, ear gauging. And it's a weird example, but hopefully it sticks in your head. If I was to go ahead and I was to pierce my ear, and I wanted to, for whatever reason, gauge it to one of those really large, 000 gauges, if I was just to pierce my ear and try to shove that 000 in, I'm probably not going to have a great result. I'm going to rip and tear some things, and I'm not going to get the result that I want, okay? However, if I was to take my time and with consistency change out those gauges, however that goes, I'm not really sure the gauge consistency, but I know it goes from a high number to a small number. But if I was consistently change those over short periods of time, I would achieve my goal with much greater success, right? So that's the one I like to go with that. But however, there is some time, and it's pretty consistent with the literature is pretty consistent. We want to do something at least 3 times a week for a amount of time of about at least 20 minutes, okay? And when we do that, I suggest prioritizing whatever it is that you're going to do and only picking a couple exercises. Because what you want to be able to do is you do want to get some amount of time while mobilizing. You're going to spend 2 to 4 minutes per exercise, per mobilization that you pick. And you're going to do about 3 to 4 sets. So that's what we'd say. Pick, 2 to 3 exercises, perform each of those 2 to 3 exercises 2 to 4 minutes, and do 3 to 4 sets of those. That's going to get you at least 20 minutes, 24, 25 minutes in, and that's going to give you the best results. Now, when you do this, I always say treat mobilizing like working out. What does that mean? Is not every day has to be a ham day, right? We don't have to go hard every day. We can mobilize very deeply on certain days, be very aggressive, and then other days we can use a different, lighter technique, and that's absolutely acceptable. It's exactly, we're going how we feel. If you don't feel great that day, or if you feel super sensitive that day, you should moderate your mobilization according to that, right? Now, this one's a big one for me. It's all connected, right? So if I'm going to go ahead and I'm trying to lengthen my hamstrings, please remember, and if not, reference some of my older posts, that our posterior chain is connected from the top of our scalp all the way down to the bottoms of our feet. So if we're trying to, say, increase hamstring length, we can technically mobilize all the way up to the posterior portion of our neck or the bottoms of our feet and still have an effect on hamstring length. And if you're not aware of that concept, please check back in some of my earlier posts. But you can actually do that. I'll throw some stuff up there to kind of show you how some disconnected mobilizations can have effects on areas in which you might not think. Now, with all these 4 points being said, please understand that the majority of mobility or mobilization should be done post-activity, and that's to avoid neurologic inhibition. Now, I say this because we do want to spend this 3 times a week at 20 minutes of mobilizations, but we don't want to go ahead and crash our systems neurologically prior to working out, especially in the CrossFit community where we're doing complex lifts like cleans and snatches and muscle ups and all these things that are involving a whole bunch of neurologic stimulus. Because if we go ahead and we spend 20-25 minutes smashing out, say, our pecs or our shoulders, and then go ahead and try to start throwing weight up overhead, there's actually, if you spend too much time on a tissue, you can actually neurologically inhibit the impulse that's going to that tissue. Now, that's done with long periods in this 20-minute range. However, what they do say is anything that's done under 30 seconds is perfectly acceptable to use as a mobility pre-exercise. So please, use these 5 points. Keep them in mind, guys. And until tomorrow, keep your questions coming in. Like I said, we're going to use them as upcoming topics. I love them all. They were all great, guys, and I hope to get to a bunch of them in the future. Guys, until tomorrow, we're optimizing function to optimize performance.